Okay. Okay. So welcome to our webinar today. As I said here, full house. And yeah, those of you that don't know me, my name is Sean van den Berg. I head up client education at PSG Wealth. Today we're talking, the topic is retired. When is enough enough? And I think we can start off with a question, or some of you might have heard this quote before. Poor is when you have too much month at the end of your money. So I think a lot of us have heard of that quote before, can relate to it. And some of us might know people that are running the risk of outliving their retirement funds. And I think it's quite important to have this webinar today to discuss some of those things around that. And, we're talking about retirement, but it's also for people that are working towards retirement. But the main thing today is manage your income becomes critical during retirement, as your income is derived from your savings rather than from your salary. Okay, we all know that. But what's important is, because your source of income, which you saved up carefully before retirement, it's limited in retirement. And I think all of us can relate to that too. So it's very important that we ensure that it lasts through your retirement years. And that's where this question comes through is, when is enough enough? So this means that you need to determine your income needs, number one, in the years leading up to your retirement. And once you retire, obviously you need to be efficiently managing your retirement assets. And we'll be talking more about that in this presentation. So in this webinar, we can look at some of the issues that you need to consider when doing these things. So why do I say that? And I think the next quote just brings up, gives you some food for thought. A quote from Ben Franklin: "It is when the well is dry that we know the price of water." So the main thing is that, they always say that, reaching your 50s or 60s with very little money set aside for retirement is unfortunate, but it's not unusual. I think, you look at the stats in the States, or obviously a much bigger market, but the same thing applies here in South Africa. Even if you contribute large amount of money when you're older, it's much harder to make up the years that you lost, when a smaller amount or a smaller contribution could have added up through the magic of compounding. And they always say the eighth wonder of the world is the magic of compounding. So yes, if you start late, no problem, as long as you start. It still needs to be done, but do not leave it to the last minute. That's what's very, very important. Because obviously then you need to take some serious and drastic measures. So though you might not be able to afford the retirement you always pictured or you always visualized, you always get closer to it if you start planning for it now. But here's my disclaimer for today. Obviously, I'm not a financial planner. I'm not a tax advisor or tax expert. This presentation is for education purposes only. And we'll talk about it later in the presentation, but I sincerely recommend those of you moving closer to retirement, get a hold of a financial advisor if you haven't got one, because he's got all these sophisticated tools that help you determine what you need. So that's my advice today. Get a hold of a financial advisor to help you. So here's we talk about the current situation, and obviously the current situation is that we want to have a happy retirement. You want to have that peace of mind. But a lot of people are not there. So here's a bit of call it a case study. As Mel recently turned 45, so theoretically he's got 20 years to retirement. He's worried that he's not saved enough for his retirement. He's currently has 600,000 in retirement annuity and a small amount of money that he uses for holidays. So a bit of a clue there to where his focus is. How does he track, or how does he know whether he's on track for retirement? If not, is it too late to catch up? And I think just from this alone, you guys can, let me put my webcam off. Sorry, I thought it was off. Okay, let's take it off. From this, you guys can surmise that he's in trouble. He has to do something. So he needs to catch up. So in this situation, you might consider delaying his retirement date. It gives you more time to save, number one, and number two, obviously, gives him time for the money to grow. So you need to also consider reducing his living expenses. You want to maximize your savings now and they say reduce your spending. So forgo the holidays right now and the spending on entertainment and non-essential items. But the idea is to also, when you retire, is commit less, especially in this scenario, less to spending. You want to stretch your savings. So come back to what I said just now about the financial advisor. Financial advisor will sit down with you and go through a lot of questions and ask you a lot of questions. And I've used this slide before as a rule of thumb, called it the rule of thumb method. How much would you need? So a rule of thumb is for every 4,000 Rand a month you need in income, you need 1 million Rand in capital. And we'll talk about the percentages just now, but roughly about 4% that you need on a monthly basis. That's number one, how much you need, capital you need. Secondly, it's also very important to consider tax, because tax is an important consideration when you're choosing a retirement investment vehicle. Okay, so the financial advisor will sit down with you and ask you a whole lot of questions. Obviously, your income, your expenses, but also how much debt do you have right now? How much how much debt will you have remaining at retirement in 20 years' time in this scenario? Are your children still at school? Where will they be in 20 years' time, or will they be needing financial assistance from you? If you've got a daughter, you have to pay for weddings and things like that. And the most important question, are you going to be able to afford to live a comfortable lifestyle off the pension amount that you receive? Now, that's what we're trying to get to today. And that's what we're going to try and answer through the process. So the question today is, how do we get there? Okay, what is our ideal position? And I mentioned just now the ideal position, obviously, is to have retirement should be a happy time. It's your golden years and things like that. You set your own schedule. You take your holidays, obviously, if you plan for them. But you can start spending the money you've always been saving. So the idea is to save for a nest egg. Okay, we talk about a nest egg. So we talk about the first phase, creating wealth. And then obviously when you retire is preserving the wealth. But also to understand that, your retirement that you have is a happy retirement is having a peace of mind, having the financial security, number one, and number two, also very importantly, is the health. Okay, so it gives you that freedom of choice. You can do what you want to when you want to. Having the time to do hobbies. I always say, you want to have hobbies to keep your mind active. You want to be social. You want to have some purpose in life. But I also believe is that freedom of choice that gives you, having the time to do what you want to, when you want to, how you want to, who you want to. Okay. So the question today is, what are some of the prudent ways to build that nest egg? So we can talk about rental properties, we can talk about share portfolios, we can talk about unit trusts. Those are the conventional ways of getting there. Because of time constraints, I want to focus on two tax-efficient vehicles. And we've mentioned them before in past webinars. Number one, retirement annuities, and number two, the tax-free savings plan. So I'm going to recap quickly. As I say, I have done them before. You can always contact me and I can refer you to the YouTube videos. But the idea of the retirement annuity is while you're still working, you can contribute to a retirement annuity, and this is 27.5% of your taxable income. You can contribute to RA and get a tax deduction from that. So obviously the deductions are limited to a maximum of 350,000. This is the new rules now, but so it's tax efficient. So you get that tax benefit now, but also the tax is levied in the product, not in the hands of the investor. So it's zero. There's no capital gains. There's no dividend withholding tax within the fund. When you retire, obviously the funds are favorably taxed in the hands of the taxpayer. And we'll talk about it a bit just now. So that's one vehicle. So that's number one, to contribute as much as you can to a retirement annuity. Secondly, the tax-free investment plan. This helps you grow your capital without paying tax, again, on the dividends, on interest, capital gains, and things like that. There's no tax involved here. However, there are limitations here. You can only save 30,000 Rand per annum, or about 2,500 Rand per month, but there's also a lifetime limit of 500,000. So if you haven't got anything like this yet, you've got 16.7 years before this is maxed out, but start now. Use it to your advantage. So it gives you control over your choice of the underlying investment options, so unit trust, etc. And also, compared to other products, there's no restrictions on the asset classes. The Regulation 28 prohibits you from investing more than 75% in certain funds, for example, in equity funds. There's no restrictions here. So those are the two vehicles we're suggesting as tax-efficient vehicles for you to build up your wealth. But the main focus today is, and what we're proposing is what we call living annuities. This is once you've retired now. Okay, now living annuity, what is it? It's it's an investment product that provides income after retirement. Now, by law, you are forced to take a income from your living annuity. And the minimum you can take is 2.5%. You are forced to take an income. So the minimum is 2.5%, the maximum is 17.5%. Saying that the annuity or the income is not guaranteed. Remember, your underlying investments might be the stock market, and obviously the volatility and the risk involved there. So there's no guarantees. But you as an investor may update the income with the drawdown on an annual basis when it comes to anniversary dates. You might choose 2.5% per annum, and obviously you get that income on a monthly basis, but you might find it's too little, and you can increase it, but on an anniversary date. And vice versa, you can decrease that amount. You can't do that outside that anniversary date, so you have to wait for that anniversary date. The income tax is deducted and paid outside of the living annuity, and that goes to the income tables. We'll talk about it a bit later. So let's talk about living annuities. How does it work? Can I open up a living annuity account? Yes, you can, provided you are transferring from a pension fund, provident fund, preservation fund, or another for a retirement annuity. Okay, that's what it's for. We're talking about who's this ideally for just now. Or it's transferred from an existing living annuity, or you're doing additional income, additional contributions into those above funds, and then you may add it into your living annuity. Okay, as I say, this does not apply to Regulation 28. Okay, it's not applicable. So this is just an example with that drawdown from 2.5% to 17%, and this is a market return. So let's have example. I have saved up 5 million rand. Okay, and I'm looking at roughly about 31,000 rand in income a month, which is about 375. So in this scenario, I'm going to be working on a 7.5% drawdown, income drawdown. And you can see I'm anticipating my growth on the market will be about 10% per annum. What's important to note here, okay, that's why I've circled number 13. It's going to take you 13 years before your income starts diminishing. So, but there's also another assumption I made here. It's assumed that from the table above that we're adjusting our percentage, this income on an annual basis, we're adjusting it for inflation. Okay, we're allowing for, in our example here, we're allowing for a 6% inflation. So we're adjusting for real income. So after 13 years, using these numbers, if I'm drawing 7.5% per annum, and I'm anticipating the market to be growing by 10%, I'm anticipating that after 13 years, this is where it starts diminishing. Remember, this is just living annuities. So obviously funds from my pension funds. I'm assuming also you might have a share portfolio, rental income, all that kind of stuff. But this gives you some guidelines. And that's what this whole webinar is about a guideline. And again, I sincerely recommend that you speak to your financial advisor to help you along these lines. But this makes you a bit of a wake-up call to realize that those funds are not there forever. And that leads into the next question. Living annuities can be combined. Okay? However, during this combination or consolidation phase, you may not increase the income, and you may not increase or change the payment frequency. So, for example, I might have one contract that has an anniversary on the 1st of March, and it's paying out. I'm choosing 10% of my assets on 100,000, and the other contracts on the 1st of October. The new contract will have middle point is the 1st of July. Okay, so that's where you'll be getting that income from. So you'll be getting a letter when you be able to review these the anniversary dates and things like that. So, but you can combine them, which is very useful. There's no cost involved either. So important to realize that. So what are the benefits of a living annuity? So first of all, obviously the flexibility. That income drawdown between 2.5% and 17.5%, it just makes it easier to manage the income. But also remember, I've got a wide range of unit trusts to choose from. And secondly, obviously linked to those unit trusts, the performance of the unit trust itself, the underlying unit trusts, is tax-free. So important to realize that. And unit trusts are transparent when it comes to costs and commissions. Let's talk about tax. So I mentioned just now the growth within the fund. Okay, remember the tax is levied in the product, not in the hands of the investor. So that's at this point in time, obviously 0%. 0% for capital gains, dividend withholding tax, and income tax. When you withdraw the funds, the income, okay, you receive an IRP5. Then it's on tax tables, on your normal income tax tables. However, on the death of the investor, the right to the living annuity moves to your nominated beneficiaries. Okay. If you do not have nominated beneficiaries, it goes into your estate. Now, this is where it gets a bit more complicated. The nominated beneficiaries, okay, have three options. They may select one of the three options. They can transfer all the remaining assets into cash, and obviously that will be taxable in the hands of the deceased. That's number one. Number two, they can continue with the annuity payments. So they will get the income in their hands, obviously, and obviously at the income tax tables. Well, on the next slide, we'll talk about the tax rates there in deceased hands. And the third option is to commute it's a combination. You can commute a portion in cash and transfer the balance to a living annuity. So here we go. Here's the slide on death claims. So the first 500,000 is 0% tax. If this falls into a state, obviously state tax, there's a exclusion, I think 3.5 million. I'm just trying to keep it simple here. This shows you the tax tables are much lower than income tax tables. That's what I want to highlight here. So it's much better for your beneficiaries to keep it within the voluntary living annuity. Okay, remember you guys were beginning this presentation anyway to review. So let's ask some questions here. Now, can the living annuity be attached by creditors? And the answer is no. Okay, so it's not attached by creditors, and it's protected from insolvency. Okay. However, if the receiver, or the SARS, has a case of unpaid taxes, they can set the amount aside from your investment, and that will be paid over to SARS. Okay, so SARS always get their little slice out of the tax owing. Okay, so you guys might have some other questions. Who can invest in living annuities? Only natural persons. So people retiring from their pension fund, their provident fund, preservation fund, retirement annuity, or people transferring from existing living annuities. So companies, trusts, and closed corporations cannot invest in living annuities in their own name. Who's it ideally for? So it's ideally for individuals or investors wishing to have the proceeds of the investment paid directly to the beneficiaries, to the family upon their death. That's number one. And number two, for someone who wants a flexibility in selecting the income level, number one. And number two, obviously the underlying investment instruments. That's who's it ideally for. Who's it not for? So living annuities is not suitable for individuals who are needing a guaranteed income for life. Now, this is where what they call a life annuity comes in. That's where you come from the life companies. They'll give you 15%, whatever the case might be, but you have no choice in increase. The advantage here is that it will increase by inflation, but you have no say in underlying investments. And if the money runs out, money runs out. Okay. So there's pros and cons with a life annuity. I'm focusing today on a living annuity. What are the contributions? The minimum contribution, obviously, from a pension or provident fund is 20,000. So we're talking about single premium contributions only. So there's no debit orders or anything like that. So again, it's the pension or provident funds, retirement annuities, preservation funds. You can't contribute your own funds to a living annuity. You'll open up a separate retirement annuity or a tax-free investment plan, and that's where you'll have access to its funds. Can I take a loan or seed my living annuity? No, you cannot take a loan against your living annuities, and you can't seed this as collateral. Okay. So the investment cannot mature. There's three scenarios. It pays out income until death, and then depletion of the capital, or you withdraw all the funds. Okay, those are the three scenarios that we talk about. You might want to consider the PSG asset management funds. We've got a whole range of funds you can choose from. We've got South African shares, we've got South African unit trust, and we've got rand-denominated offshore funds, what we call feeder funds. Why? You want to consider PSG funds? Because we are much cheaper. The administration fee for PSG funds is 0.2%, with VAT 0.28%. If you're looking at other funds, the first 1.5 million, there's a platform fee of 0.5%. Anything above that, it slides down. So the benefits of investing with PSG Wealth is obviously flexibility. We've got a whole range of funds. If I go back to the previous slide, by the way, if you click on this link here, it'll highlight for you what we call the funds A to Z. There's about 450 funds you can choose from. But please consider the PSG funds just because of the costs from that side. And as I say, the expert support here at PSG Wealth, as well as the reduced costs. Okay, here's a quote, and those of you that maybe this wake-up call, that you haven't got enough, as I say, it's never too late. So here's a quote from Rosbeth. He says, "At the middle of every successful project looks like a disaster." So you might think, wow, I haven't got enough to save up. It's never too late to start saving. So start today. Okay, so let's see what questions you guys have. Let's put this on again. Yeah. Where is the camcorder's on, but I can't find it enough. Where's it? Where's it? Okay. Webcam. Unfortunately, I can't see my way. It's there somewhere, but I can't see it. But if you guys can see me. Okay. Got some questions here. A question from Christoph van Wyk. Will growth in the next 5 years be more or less than the CPI? Good question. Yeah, so we hopefully it's better than CPI. So that's where we're working on at 10%, Krista. But the idea is that you want to be able to adjust for that. You guys can't see my presentation, looks like it. Yeah. I don't know why you guys can't see my presentation. Great, eh? It's amazing. Never use these things. Okay. The guys, it looks like most of you couldn't see my presentation today. My sincere apologies. I wasn't aware of that. Okay, Peter, good question. The question is, how much is enough? Everybody's situation is different. As I said, you need to go sit down with your financial advisor and you'll answer all those questions, do a comprehensive analysis. I used the example of 5 million. To some people, 5 million might be ample, but some people won't be ample. So you need to sit down with your financial advisor with your particular situation, your aspirations, your dreams, and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, good question. Okay. Guys, some of my sincere apologies. Looks like you guys couldn't see the presentation because of the webcam. Okay, so I'll have to say, you'll be receiving the recording anyway. So you guys listen to my presentation. Cool. So here's one from Chris Callahan. He says, regarding how much is enough, he says the answer is it's 40 times annual spend. So that's another clue you guys can use. Okay, 40 times annual spend. Thanks, Chris. Robert van Rensburg, is it worth putting all birthday and gift money of kids in a tax-free plan for them now already? Yeah, remember that. Yes, you got that flexibility, Robert, where you can withdraw out of the funds, but once you've withdrawn, you can't really put it back. So I don't know if you want to use it that way, unless it's the birthday and the gift money is forever savings. Yeah, then I suggest you use it that way. Yeah. Joseph, good question. Is it better to take a pension as opposed to a lump sum? Again, it depends on your situation. You need to speak to your financial advisor. And as you know, with a retirement annuity, you take 1/3 lump sum. The other 2/3 you have to buy a annuity. So difficult question. You need to speak to your advisor there. Andre Janssen van Rensburg, we had this question last week also, it comes up every week. What will the impact be on retirement funds if South Africa is downgraded to junk status? Yeah, and I think we've answered this question so many times. Number one, to a large extent, I think it's been discounted into prices already. We've seen the rand weaken already. So I've seen that's on the back of funds flowing out of the country. On Friday, yes, after the market closes, we got the two rating agencies that will give us some feedback. They might not cut to junk status yet now. They might do it in December. One might do it now. One might do it in December. We don't know. That's what's creating the uncertainty on the market right now and the volatility. But I think to a large extent it's been discounted. Everything, the bond prices have gone up because interest rates will go up. So it'll make things more expensive. Bottom line, it won't be very good, to answer your question. Okay. Graham Alexander, yeah, how much one needs to maintain the same or similar? If one needs 35,000 Rand per month, how much capital would you need? And we were talking about it. We used the example just now, 5 million. And we're working on, it came to 31 million. But it depends on your drawdown and how much you anticipate the growth to be in your funds and things like that. So a difficult one to answer. You need to work back. But if it works out to for every 4,000 Rand in income you need 1 million Rand. So you can go back to my one slide. It gives you a bit of a ballpark figure there, Graham. Okay. Trevor, I'm not 100% sure of your question. What life annuities do not end when you die? Yeah, Eleanor, Trevor, I have to come back to you on that question. I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that. Yeah. Eleanor, I'll send you the slides as well as the recording. Okay. But guys, just from my side, my sincere apologies about the webcam. I wasn't aware of this. You guys could only see. Yeah. Conclusion. So what you must remember from this presentation, number one, pre-retirement, build the nest egg. Remember, we're talking about wealth creation. So, and I recommend a tax-efficient vehicle. Number one, the retirement annuities. Number two, the tax-free investment plan. Post-retirement, we're talking about using a living annuity. Okay. So what can you guys do next? You can click on these links for more information. And also you can contact our client service department if you want to clarify something. But from my side, guys, thanks a lot for being on this webinar. Next week, we're discussing currency futures. A lot of guys are worried about what's happening with the rand. Obviously, this will be after the possible downgrade. What must you do? You want to hedge yourself, and we're talking currency futures. The week after that, we're talking about index futures, trading the Aussie and the AUMI as swing traders. And the week after that, we're talking about hedging and going long using single stock futures. Okay. But from my side, thank you very much for being on this webinar. There's my contact details. Any questions you guys have, you're welcome to drop me an email, and I'll get back to you guys. But thanks a lot for being on this webinar. Until next week, all the best. Bye for now.